Alright, graphing quadratics. I got a 5-step method, right? But really, sorry, I got a 4-step plus 1. My 5-step method is saved for factoring, right? So I created a 4-step plus 1. The plus 1 is a quadratic formula, okay? Alright, what's nice about this is I've been teaching this to you since Algebra 1, right? And it is calculus. So this is why it's going to be fun now, is so that you can actually use the power rule before we start teaching the power rule next month, right? Here we go. So the first step is the power rule. So step number 1 is h of x prime is equal to 0. So your whole key, okay, is to take the derivative of the function, right, and set it equal to 0. So how do I take the derivative? I use the power rule. What is 2 times 4? Negative 4. So h prime of x would equal negative 8x. So I subtract 1 from the 2, right? Then I take this 1, right, Richard? Times the 32. And I get plus 32. But when I take 1 away from the x, it leaves no x, right? And then I take the 0 times that, boom, it's 0. Okay, it goes away. And so what I want to do now is set that equal to 0. And then solve. So I got negative 8x is equal to negative 32. And then I divide by negative 8. I get x is equal to positive 4. Okay? And that is what we call the axis of symmetry. Okay? So when you set this derivative equal to 0, you get the axis of sim. Okay? Then, what do? Plug it in, plug it in. So you take whatever your axis is and you plug it into the function.
Is that negative 4 or is that 4? Is that case?
That is 4.
What does that say under? Oh,
axis of symmetry. So I'm going to take that axis of symmetry, I'm going to plug it into the original function. So h of 4 is going to equal negative 4 times 4 squared minus 32 times 4 minus 24. And you're going to know you're on the right track when you get to here. Right? And what's going to happen is you're going to end up with the opposite. Well, let me show you what I mean by that. What is 4 squared?
16.
What is 16 times 4?
72.
Try again.
64.
There you go.
Imagine.
Alright, so minus 64. Alright, and then what is 4 times 32?
What did we say?
120.
Yeah, 128.
No, it's not.
What's going on here?
I'm just joking. I was joking.
Oh, this should be plus. Sorry. I'm going, wait a minute. Something's wrong here. Because I should get plus 128. And what happens here is I knew something was wrong. So I looked up. Oh, that's a plus. And I had a minus. And the reason I knew something was wrong is because when I take these two, I should get the opposite of this one. Right? So negative 64 and 128 is actually 64. See how they're opposites? Right? And that should happen every time. And if that doesn't happen, something's wrong. Okay? So I still have the minus 24, but I always do that, and that's one of my checks. That way, I don't go too far without trying to fix the problem. Okay? Now, the final answer is h of 4 is equal to, and then 24 from 64. Very good. 40. I don't care what they say about you. You're right. All right, now, we're going to write that as the vertex, right? So that's going to be 4 and 40. And that is your vertex. Boom. Okay? So first it's the axis of symmetry. Then you get your vertex, okay? Step 2. Step 3. Super fun. Super easy. H of 0 is equal to C. What do I mean by that? And remember, you have A, B, and C. Wait a minute. What? All day long. Who's there? Okay. So, plug it in. If I put in a 0 here, that's 0. If I put in a 0 here, that's 0. And then minus 24. So, h of 0 is going to equal minus 24. So I get 0 and negative 24. And that is my y-intercept. Okay? This is your y-intercept. Okay? Alright. So far, these are coming up really nice. If we take a look on the graph, okay? We take a look on the graph. Where am I going to graph it? Like right here? What do I got? I got, well, so far I got 4 and 40, and I got 0 and negative 24, right? So I guess I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And then of course that's going to go to 8. So 5, 6, 7, and 8, right? Now I know it's frowning, right? This is frowning. So it looks like this because the coefficient is negative. So I know it's coming down, right? So I go on that 4. Where's my blue? This is my axis of symmetry at 4, right?
Yeah.
Okay? And then at 40, so what I want to do is like go, I don't know, 10, 20, 30, 40. Does that sound good? So instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 8, I'm going to go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Where was I at? 40? So right here at 40. Okay, but I got to go down to negative 24. So 10, 20, 30. Oh yeah, so negative 20, negative 30. So negative 24 would be right around there. You agree? Okay? So that would be this point right here. And then this is going to come down. Boom. Okay, that's your y-intercept. Then on the opposite side, it should also be at negative 24 and 8. Right? Because that's it's symmetrical, right? So in other words, if I take 2 times this axis, okay, so that's step 4. H of 2 times the axis should equal C. Okay? Every single time. So in other words, I'm going to take 2 times the axis. What's 2 times 4? 8, right? And take h of 8, and I'll plug that in. Okay? And I'll get negative 4 times 8 squared plus 32 times 8 minus 24, right? So what is 8 squared? 64? And what's 64 times 4? 256? So negative 256. And then what is 8 times 32? 256. So positive 256, and those cancel, so I get negative 24. That works out. That's nice. That's your graph. Looks nice and pretty. We proved it. Now, what if they want the x-axis? Right? What if they want, where does it cross on the x? Right? Where does it cross? Okay, and so to do that, you could factor this. You could try to factor this. Does 4 go into all of that? So negative 4 goes into all of that. Like, if I pull out a negative 4x squared plus 32x minus 24, and I take out a negative 4, I get x squared plus or minus 8x plus, what is that, 6, right? What multiplies to be 6, what adds to be 8? Anything? 1 and 6, that ain't gonna work. 2 and 3, that ain't gonna work. So, we're gonna have to throw that in the quadratic formula, right? And in the quadratic formula, you would get these. Does it ask you to do that? Oh, it does. Fun. Yay, team. Alright, so let me ask you. Is it going to be the same if I do this quadratic formula as I do this one? Would they be the same? What do you think? The answer would be yes. Okay? Because basically it's this times this equals 0. If I divide by 4, this equals 0. It's still a quadratic formula. That would be a much nicer quadratic formula than this one, right? So let's plug it in. Remember, A, B, and C. So, negative B, which means negative 8, plus or minus the square root of B squared, negative 8 squared, minus 4 times what's A? 1. What's C? 6. All over 2A. What's A? 1. Okay, so what is negative 8 squared? 64? And minus 4 times 6 is 24, which is 40. So the square root of 40 plus or minus negative 8, which means a positive 8 all over 2. What goes into 40? Let's say 2. How many times? 2. How many times? 2. How many times? 5. How many times? Okay. So I get to pull out A2 and leave in the 10, right? So I get 8 plus or minus 2 square roots of 10 all over 2. And then I'm going to divide that by what? 2. 2 goes into 8 4 times. 2 goes into 2 once. And 2 goes into 2 once. So it's going to be 4 plus or minus the square root of 10. What is the square root of 10? Let's go square root 10 equals plus 4 equals 7.2. So we got 7.2 on the big side. That would be about right here. Just move that. There we go. Alright. Right? And then let's go to the other side. Let's go. What is it? 4 minus the square root of 10. So 4 minus square root 10 equals 0.8. So it'd be about 0.8 on this side. Seems about right. Okay. So we got 0.8 and 7.2. We good? Found all our pieces. We know how to do it. We can make this quadratic formula a lot easier if we factor it. Yay! Questions? Let's get ready for calculus, people. Calculus. fun stuff.